you have the biggest number of Muslims around the world, followed by Africa. Africa has a very large number of Muslim people, and then followed by the Middle East, which includes Northern Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, but also parts of Asia, like Central Asia, Iran, Turkey, and so on. Okay, so that's a big number, big chunk of the world. Okay. Moving on, we're going to talk about. Oh, okay. Oh, it's working. Which one is this one down? Sorry, which one? Wait.
Left button. This left button.
Left.
And the right button.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. It's not working properly. So
this one.
Oh, this one here. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. This. Yeah, it's not working properly. So, yeah, it's fine. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, moving on, we're going to talk about Sharia law. What is Sharia law? Sharia is an Arabic word, which means actually law. So, a lot of the time you hear the word Sharia law, but actually Sharia in itself, it means law. So, what is Sharia? It is the Islamic law. It is the Islamic law. It is religious law of Islam, and it is derived from the Quran. Now, as we said, the Quran is basically the revelations to Prophet Muhammad through the angel Gabriel. That forms the Quran, and the Quran is believed by Muslims to be the word of God. It is believed to be the word of God. And the Sharia, or the Islamic law, governs all aspects of Muslims' life. That includes their worship, the ethical practice, family, business, finance, criminal law, and so on. So all of that is covered and is governed by the Sharia law. And when we talk about Sharia law, we talk about halal. What does halal mean? What is the meaning of halal? It is an Arabic word, by the way, halal. You can see it nowadays. I mean, I'm sure you heard about it. The government is talking about it in Hong Kong. We're encouraging more restaurants to go halal. We're encouraging. So what is halal? It is an Arabic word. It means what is permissible, what is lawful, with reference to what? What is the reference? The reference is what I was just talking about, the law, the Islamic law, which is the law that comes from the religion itself, which is holy law. Okay, so halal means permissible. So if we talk about permissible, halal, then there must be something that is not permissible, not lawful with reference to Islam. How do we say that? And that's this word next to it, haram. These two words are very important for Muslims. Everything is related to that. Everything is governed by halal, haram. Positive, negative, good, bad. That's a person's life. That's a Muslim's life. They always have this in their mind, at the back of their mind, always thinking, oh, is this halal? Can I do this? Can I eat this? Is this haram? I must stay away from it. So these two words are really the key words. Now, what I'm going to do, because most people think of halal and haram in the context of food, okay? Of course, that is what most people think about. But actually, let's do this quiz. We have here 6 dishes. I'm sure you can recognize most of them. I'm sure you can recognize this one, right? Congee, Chinese. Pizza, everybody. Pasta, okay. Burger. Sushi, everyone, right? How about this one? Any idea? Excellent, well done. That's tagine. Where does tagine come from? Any idea? You know the word tagine. It is, yeah, it's exactly. It comes from Morocco. So this is like a typical, actually, Moroccan dish. It's called tagine. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you this question. Talking about halal and haram, which of these dishes do you think are halal, permissible for Muslims to eat? Number 3, sushi. Okay. And why? Because it's seafood. And seafood, by definition, is permissible. It is permissible for Muslims to eat. Yes. And the answer is correct. Any more? Number 2, okay, that's from Morocco, so it must be halal unless they cook it with, something that is not permissible, right? Okay, any more? Diana? No? That is it. Yeah? Number 5, pasta, okay. All right, okay. Now, the thing is, actually, apart from sushi, where the kind lady just mentioned, the reason which is like seafood is permissible, it is halal, no question about it, okay? Now, apart from this dish, and this dish because it's from Morocco, and in Morocco, it is an Islamic country, then you don't expect something that is not Islamic. All the other dishes, they could be 100% halal, but also they could be 100% haram, not halal. Why? Simply, it depends on the ingredients. It just depends on the ingredients, and that's where halal and haram is. So, congee, plain congee, some vegetables, whatever, it's fine. It's halal, no problem. Okay. Pizza, yeah, you can have vegetarian pizza. Cheese, 4-cheese pizza. You can have it depends on the ingredients. So all of these could be purely halal. You can find all these kinds of foods in Islamic countries, but also they could contain some ingredients that are not halal and therefore would not be permissible for Muslims to eat them. And that's why Muslims, wherever they go, especially in non-Islamic countries, they always have to look for halal signage. Where can I eat? I'm going out on Saturday with my wife. Where are we going? Where are we going to eat? So we go and check, halal restaurants. We're going to Central, halal restaurants. We're going to Timshat Soy. We look for halal places, okay? Or we go for seafood, and that's safe. Or vegetarian, that's also safe, okay? All right, we'll explore more about the concept and the notion of halal and haram as we go. Let me continue with some misconceptions about halal, okay? So halal food halal, the concept of halal applies only to food. Is that correct? It is not correct. What does it apply to apart from food? Now, you need to remember that something. Halal means permissible with reference to religious law, the Islamic religion. That means halal refers to anything that is permissible. It governs all things related to life, people's life, family, behavior, attitude, conduct, social conduct. So some social conduct are halal, some social conduct are not permissible. Like, for example, when you're walking down the street and you see a banana skin, you're walking down the street, there's a banana skin down there. What do you do as a Muslim? You have to take it away and throw it in a bin. Why? And that's halal. You have to do it. Why? Because by doing that, you are preventing somebody, like an old person, old lady passing by, she might slip on that, hurt herself. So all of this is conduct, good conduct. So the concept of halal doesn't just cover the food, it covers everything, all walks of life, everything related to life, okay? Family, business, you all know about, for example, Islamic banking, Islamic finance, right? Okay. Halal is only for Muslims. So if you're not a Muslim, can you eat halal? Of course, you can eat halal. It's like, okay, if you're not a vegetarian person, can you eat vegetarian person, vegan? Yes, you can. So it's the same thing. Halal food is made of high quality ingredients, good things, clean. So it is perfectly fine for people to enjoy. Like whether you're a Muslim or not, it's perfectly fine for people to enjoy. Halal meat is cruel. Do you believe that? Why not?
As far as I know, the halal meat means they have a special way to kill the animals. They cook them.
Yes.
For instance, chicken, they will cut from the neck.
Yes.
And then they will pray for this process.
Yes.
Which is I don't know what kind of
what they say and things like that. Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as far as I understand, the reason why they choose the way to cut the animal is because it's the other way around. They don't want to be they don't want to
Cruel.
be cruel.
Cruel to the animal. Okay, and the answer is correct. Actually, the answer is correct because basically, as Muslims, we're instructed by God to be compassionate, to be kind, and to treat animals well because they are creatures of God. So even during war, even in the old days during war, Muslims are instructed not to kill animals. Not to kill animals. You have no right. That doesn't belong to you. That's from God. So we're instructed to be compassionate, kind, and treat animals well. And not only during their life, but also when we slaughter the animal. So we are instructed when we kill the animal is to use very sharp knife and to kill the animals from the throat in a very swift movement, so the animal doesn't suffer. It's the minimal suffering to the animal, okay? And that is actually what animals are for. They are by instinct created by God for that purpose. So there's nothing wrong. As far as Muslims, we believe there's nothing wrong with that, and that minimizes suffering to the animal. So meat coming from halal meat is perfectly fine. There's no cruelty whatsoever related to that. And all the blood is let to be drained because Muslims are not allowed to drink or eat blood. That's haram. That's not allowed, not permissible. Okay. The last point is halal refers to Indian, Middle Eastern foods. Yeah? Does it? Part of it, yeah. That happens a lot. It happens even to me. Like, when I'm on for example, on a flight, I book, okay, I want halal food. And then, okay, I got Indian food, okay, or Middle Eastern food. But actually, all kinds of food, like I said, can be halal, as long as they're coming from a halal kitchen where basically the ingredients are halal. Okay, so it's not really about where they come from. Halal concept applies anywhere in the world. It's just about what ingredients are in the food. By the way, the lady just now asked, she said, they say something when they cut the throat of the animal for like slaughtering. Actually, what they say is two expressions. They say Bismillah, in the name of God, and Allahu Akbar, which means God is great. So these are the two things they say, because everything for halal food to be halal or meat to be halal, it has to be in the name of God. Yeah, all right. We'll explore more about this, guys. We're going to continue. So, right, I'm just going to continue with, some more, okay. Some key aspects of halal in the Islamic culture. What are the key aspects? First, dietary laws, okay, and we're going to discuss that in a minute. The spiritual and ethical significance of halal concept. The broader aspects, we will explore some broader aspects of halal concept in real life, and the impact of halal concept or halal food or halal things on the cultural identity and the community, in the Muslim community around the world. And we start with the dietary laws. So what is halal? Halal means permissible. Basically, all foods are halal, except those that are specifically unlawful. How do we know that? From the Quran, from the holy book. We have a list of all the haram items here. You can see that, haram, forbidden. We have a list of all the items there. That includes pork, and I'm sure most of you probably know that already. Muslims, they don't eat pork. Also, alcohol and other intoxicants like drugs, for example. That is not halal. Drugs, intoxicants, blood products, because blood is forbidden in Islam. Animals that died from natural causes, injury or disease. So when people, they slaughter the animals, whether it's a chicken or rabbit or lamb or whatever, they have to make sure that that animal is free from disease, is healthy. That's very important, okay? What else? Animals not slaughtered in the name of Allah. And Allah is the Arabic name for what? For God, okay? So basically, that's why when somebody slaughters the animal, they have to say in the name of God, Bismillah. Also, carnivorous animals, and animals of prey, and venomous animals. So Muslims are not allowed to eat all of this. How do we know that? That's where it comes from. It comes from the Holy Book, from the Quran, chapter 5, verse number 3. The name of this chapter, surprise, surprise, it's called the table spread. The name of this chapter in the Quran is called what? The table spread. And that's where Muslims are instructed which items are permissible and which items or ingredients or food that is not permissible. Let's read this together. Well, let me read this. Okay, just together. That's at the classroom, not here. Okay, so forbidden. Let me just say, this is a interpretation of the Quran. So it's like translation, or we say a translation of the meaning or interpretation of the meaning of the Quran. Okay, because the Quran is in Arabic language, right? So I'll start. Forbidden to you are carrion, dead animals, blood, and swine. What is slaughtered in the name of any other than Allah, what is killed by strangling, beating, a fall, or by being gored to death, what is partly eaten by predator, unless you slaughter it, and what is sacrificed in altars. This is the verse where Muslims, they derive what is allowed for them to eat and what is not allowed for them to eat. And in this verse, same verse actually, in the same chapter in the Quran, Allah mentions that basically the people of Muslims are allowed to eat from the people of the book food. Who are the people of the book? That means the people, the other religions that receive the book. Who are they? The Christians. They have the book, the Bible, the New Testament, and the Jewish people. They have the book. These are the two groups of people who are, we call them the people of the book. So Muslims are allowed to eat from the people's book food. They are, unless it's something that is not allowed. Now think about it. Do Jewish people eat pork? They don't eat pork. Do Christian people eat pork? How come? Jesus Christ was a Jewish, he was born as a Jewish. So yeah, question mark there, okay? So Muslims are allowed to eat from the people of the book food unless it is specifically not halal for them. Okay, all right, let's continue. So just now I was talking about some key aspects of the halal in the Islamic religion. And we continue with, so just now we talked about dietary laws. We're going to continue with slaughter method. Okay, so slaughter method, I mentioned that already. So basically, the animals have to be healthy. They have to be free from any disease. That's it. The meat must come from animals that are free from any disease. Otherwise, the meat is not good, right? Second, it has to be performed at an adult person who is of sound mind. Somebody who knows what they're doing. Not somebody who's crazy, all right? So somebody who knows what they're doing. Third, the person has to invoke the name of Allah. So Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. So in the name of God, God is great. Fourth, they have to use a very sharp knife and kill the animals with minimal suffering. And last, all blood must be drained. We have to let the animal drain all the blood before, continue with other things, okay, with the animal. We're going to move on to an item that is very important, especially for in the restaurant business in Hong Kong, because I know that we all know that already. The government in Hong Kong is encouraging more restaurants to go halal, to provide this for people, because we have visitors from Islamic countries, visitors who look for halal food. So this is very important. So a lot of the restaurants, they go for what we call halal kitchen, because I will talk about certification later, but halal, you can have a fully halal restaurant. That means everything is halal. No alcohol, no food, no pork, nothing. But then there are other restaurants that go for halal kitchen, where within the same restaurant, within the same kitchen, they have a section for halal food and another section for non-halal food. What they do is this: they have to prevent cross-contamination. That's very important. You can have a section for halal, section non-halal, and then, but you have to do that. Cross-contamination. How do you do that? You have to use separate cooking utensils, separate food preparation areas. This is somewhere for halal food, non-halal food, washing basin for halal food, washing basins for non-halal food, and so on. You have to have separate storage areas. Something very important for meat, for example, you have to have separate fridges. Fridge for halal food, fridge for non-halal food. That prevents cross-contamination. Also, the things that you use for serving, like plates, glasses, cutlery, and all that, it's better to have separate ones as well. So you can use labeling. Use labeling, different colors. Like you can use different colors as well. You can assign one color for anything that they use for halal. For example, green, because green usually is associated with Muslims, right? Okay. So labeling for halal ingredients, utensils, serving plates, glasses, cutlery. Okay. Another aspect of halal in the Islamic culture is related to the spiritual and ethical significance of halal. Now, the first item is basically the fact that when Muslims consume halal, actually, when they look for halal food, when they consume halal, when they go to a special place to buy halal, that effort that they're doing is an expression of obedience to God. So it is in itself an act of worship. It is in itself an act of worship. Second, when Muslims make sure that they eat healthy food, they know where it comes from. Okay, on one hand. On the other hand, now as Muslims, we always have to, people in general, like religious people, not only Muslims, they always look for blessings. It's very important, blessings. Prayers that are answered. How do you do that? So you have to be obedient to your Creator, obedient to God. And basically, by following halal food, halal in general in life, then basically that allows you to live a spiritual, to have a pure purity, spiritual purity, and good health. Okay. Next, mindfulness and gratitude. Of course, when you are mindful about what you're eating, when you are, paying attention to what you're eating, you are actually, that develops basically, or that ensures that you feel gratitude towards, you feel gratitude for for God, for whatever they offered you. Of course, they offered you so many things, but then maybe a few things they said, no, that's not permissible. So by being mindful about what you eat, about respecting those laws, respecting the fact that these things are haram, you're not allowed to do that, then is basically that expresses as if you're expressing gratitude to the Creator. Animal welfare, I've talked about it. Now, Islam basically asks people to treat animals with compassion, with kindness, and so on. And even when we slaughter the animals, we have to make sure that it's done with minimal suffering to the animals. So Islam calls for animal welfare. A moral compass. Now, of course, when we refrain from some of the things that we are asked to refrain from, basically that help people develop certain personal traits like discipline, self-control, patience. You can't find the food that you like. You have to be patient. You can't eat meat. Okay, be patient. Discipline, self-control. You control yourself. And that can strengthen a person's moral character. It's very important. For example, in Ramadan, Ramadan, everybody? What is Ramadan? It is a fasting month. Muslims have to fast from the first ray of light to sunset. Now imagine it's hot and humid, and you can't drink water. You can't eat. Everybody else is eating, enjoying themselves, and you're passing by. Now, imagine what effect that makes on you. You have to control yourself. You have to see everybody eating and drinking, but you can't do it. because you respect and you follow your religion. That teaches you patience. That teaches you discipline, self-control. That makes you a stronger person. If you can do that, then that makes you a stronger person. Right. Now we're going to move on to talk about some broader aspects of halal concept. And I'm sure you've heard about this, Islamic finance. We talk about it, right? Even the government in Hong Kong, they talk about it. They offer Islamic finance nowadays. Some financial institutions, they offer this. Okay, some banks, they offer this. Of course, you can find more about this in some Islamic countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, the Middle East, and so on. But what is Islamic finance? Any idea? Excellent. We're going to talk about that. Like charging interest, paying interest is not permissible in Islamic finance. But what is Islamic finance? Basically, Islamic finance refers to all transactions, financial, economic transactions that comply with the Islamic law. The primary objective of Islamic finance is to make sure that all transactions are done in a fair, transparent, and socially responsible way. That's the primary objective. Make sure that transactions are done in a fair way, transparent way, socially responsible way. So we're going to talk about some of the aspects of Islamic banking. And that's the first one is the one you just mentioned. You just mentioned prohibition of interest. Why? You see, in Islamic banking, interest is prohibited. Instead of interest, what do? Share the risk. You share the risk. So it's like you invest. You're no longer paying interest, but you are sharing the risk, whether it's going to be loss or gain. Okay? So Islam prohibits charging and paying interest. Why? Because it believes that's unfair Islam believes that's unfair, unjust, and can exploit poor people and vulnerable people. And that can make basically that can basically make the wealth. Yeah. So by doing that, basically wealth that you make, by doing that, by exploiting poor people and vulnerable people, you are putting them even in a more difficult position. So instead of helping them to gain more money or gain more wealth, you're actually preventing them from doing that. Yeah.
What about when the bank issue the credit cards?
Yeah.
Do their credit cards also charge interest rate? Any interest for the late payment?
Not in Islamic banking. Yeah, not in Islamic banking. So Islamic banking doesn't work like that. The charging interest, no way. Okay, so but of course, we're just gonna continue talking about these things because what you're talking about is very specialist, even part of the Islamic banking. So we're not going to discuss that here today. But I'm going to continue with zakat. Now, zakat is an Arabic word. It is actually one of the 5 pillars of Islam. One of the 5 pillars of Islam. Do you know what are the 5 pillars of Islam, everybody? Zakat, what else? I mentioned Ramadan, fasting. Fasting every year, 1 month. Okay, from dawn to sunset. What else? Muslims, what do? They pray. They pray 5 times a day. Dawn, noontime, afternoon, sunset time, dinner time, after dinner time, evening times, 5 prayers per day. So that's 3. What else? Declaration of faith. The first one is declaration of faith, that there's no God but God, the creator, and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. But not only that, Muslims have to believe that in Jesus Christ, have to believe in Moses, have to believe in Abraham, have to believe in all the things that are mentioned mostly in the Bible, the Old Testament. Same. And the 5th one is what? So we said zakat, and the fifth one is pilgrimage to where? Where do Muslims go for pilgrimage? Yeah? Where? Yeah, sorry. Mosque. Mosque is a place of prayer. Yeah, the mosque. Like, yeah, the mosque, like same as the church for Christians, right? Or the temple. Yeah, temple, right? But where do Muslims go for pilgrimage? Like Christians, where do they go for pilgrimage? Christians, they go to Jerusalem, right? Yeah, Jerusalem, right? Yes. Now Muslims, where do they go for pilgrimage, everybody? I'm sure you know. I'm sure you saw that. Mecca. They go to Mecca in nowadays Saudi Arabia. So Muslims are instructed. So these are the 5 pillars of Islam. Declaration of faith. There's no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger. Prayer 5 times a day. Zakat, which is given, it's a mandatory charity. So you give, the people have to give from their own money, okay, to the poor and to the needy, okay. Number 4, fasting, the whole month of Ramadan. And number 5 is going to pilgrimage, if you can do that. If for people who can have the means, financial means and physical means, of course, to be able to do that. So zakat is very important. It's a very important aspect of Islamic banking. Why? Because given to the poor, help them getting out of that situation, help them. And then it is a way to basically make the community less poor, basically give more opportunities for the needy and for the poor people to have a better situation, better financial situation. The third item I'll talk about is ethical investment. So Islam encourages investment in non-haram things. So if you're investing in Islam, then you have to stay away from investment into pork and derivatives, alcohol, and all other like intoxicants, like drugs, things like that. Weapons, not encouraged. So anything that is haram, investment in those things are not possible in Islam. And that's what Islamic banking is doing. They don't invest in these things. They don't invest in pork, alcohol, weapons, and gambling also. All right. The fourth item is prohibition of speculation with excessive uncertainty. So if you're investing, you have to make sure that you're not gambling. So the idea of investing is you're not gambling with your money. You have to make sure that you're taking calculated risks. So Islam encourages people to invest with calculated risk, not just to speculate or to gamble with their money. All right. And the last item is unjust enrichment. If you're into business, if you're into investment, then you shouldn't do it you shouldn't make other people suffer. You shouldn't do it to other people. You get rich, but then you put them in a bad situation financially. So it has to be, you have to gain some, and let others gain some at the same time. It's a win-win situation, not just, gaining wealth on the, yeah. So that's the idea. Okay, these are some of the aspects of Islamic banking. Of course, our talk is not really about Islamic banking, but I'm just covering some of these items in the concept in talking about halal. Another item I want to talk about is the use of halal, the concept of halal in cosmetics and perfumes. You probably never heard about this, but there is such a thing, halal cosmetics and perfumes. What's the difference? Well, in cosmetics in general and perfumes, we use alcohol. We use some ingredients that for Muslims, they may not be halal. Okay, like gelatin from pork, like alcohol, like, for example, So what do Muslims scholars agreed on? They agreed, okay, let's not use alcohol from wine because that is something that is not possible. Let's not use alcohol that is intoxicating alcohol, but rather let's use synthetic or denatured alcohol. So a lot of Muslim scholars have agreed to use these kinds of alcohols instead of the other types of alcohol to make the product more halal friendly. Okay, and also the concept of ablution. What is ablution? Anyone? Now, Muslims, they pray 5 times, okay? But before each prayer, they have to wash. They have to wash their hands up to here, their faces, their ears, their nose, their mouth, their hair, and their feet. They have to wash them. That is like a ritual washing. And that's called ablution before each prayer. So a lot of the times, especially ladies, Muslim ladies, when they buy cosmetics and perfumes and things like that, they want to make sure they are halal. Why? Because when they wash, they have to make sure that the water touches their skin and their nails for the ablution to be acceptable. So if ladies are using certain creams, like nail polish that doesn't allow that, or mascara or things like that, then their ablution is not possible, is not acceptable. That's why nowadays you can find products that allow water to come in contact with their skin, with their nails, for them to be able to continue with their washing and to be able to do their prayer correctly. So these are things that probably a lot of people, they don't know, but they do exist in the halal market. Okay. The last item I'm going to talk about with regards to concepts related to halal is a general conduct. Of course, general conduct in everyday life, that covers a lot of things, including dress. So Islam basically encourages people, men and women, to dress decently, to dress both basically with modesty. Of course, it is not the same thing. Women are supposed to cover more than men. Men also have to cover. Men also have to wear in modesty and with modesty and cover. Also, avoiding unlawful media contents. Okay, so nowadays, especially, we live in a world where media and social media is everywhere. Like with children, with everybody, basically, they have easy access to all these things, and there's a lot of contents that the Islamic tradition or the Islamic religion basically forbids and forbids people to watch, to engage, to create some of these unlawful media that do not, align with the Islamic tradition. Okay. Also, environmental responsibility. Of course, being Islam, as like with other religions, basically frowns on, basically asks people to be responsible. Even actually in war, I mentioned this earlier with respect to the animals. I'm going to mention this again with respect to the environment. In war, Muslims are not, they're asked not even to cut trees. If you even in war, you're not allowed to cut trees. That is part of nature, that is given to you as natural resource. So unless you're going to use it, otherwise don't. Just So it's very important to be responsible, when using natural resources from this. So all of these are things that are related to halal. And again, what is halal? It is basically things that are permissible, including food, including other things that I've just talked about. Okay. I'm going to move on to the impact of the halal concept on the cultural identity of people. And this is very true everywhere, especially like in non-majority countries where Muslims are a minority. So basically, following and consuming halal promotes a sense of belonging to those people. They have their places where they buy the halal food. They have their restaurants where they can go for dinner, for lunch, and that basically promotes the sense of belonging among Muslims. Okay. Also, it is a way to preserve heritage, Islamic heritage, or some kinds of food, or some kind of rituals. So, following the halal concept and eating halal and consuming halal is a way to preserve cultural heritage for Muslims. As for the impact on the community, of course, having prayers, shared prayers, having shared festivals like Ramadan, for example, where people, they fast all day and then they go to restaurants or they go to the mosque, they have like activities. So all of these things that that basically helps Muslims and helps the community to have this kind of cohesion in the community. Okay, also halal businesses, restaurants, shops, mosques, organizations, you name it, all of these places, they can form like a support network for Muslims. They can provide like a support network where they support each other, where they feel being supported, especially if they're not living in majority Islamic countries. Growth in halal products. Now we can see this nowadays. There's more and more talk about halal products. There are more exhibitions about halal. More businesses are buying halal. They're looking for suppliers of halal food. There are exhibitions specifically for suppliers of halal food and so on. So a lot of opportunities, restaurants, hotels, you name it. A lot of opportunities, growth in halal industry, which brings economic opportunities for young people, for Muslims and non-Muslims. Okay, a lot of people can, get benefits from that. And finally, availability of halal products can break the barriers between Muslims and non-Muslims. So basically, for like the availability of halal products in the supermarket, restaurants, halal restaurants, and so on, that allows people to interact, from Muslim people and non-Muslims, and that can help a lot with breaking the barrier between different religions and people representing different traditions. So these are some of the impacts that halal can have on the cultural identity of Muslims, but also on the community on the whole. I'm going to move on to talk about halal certification in general. So what is halal certification? It is a way to guarantee that products are halal, and that implies of high standards of hygiene, cleanliness, and safety. It helps businesses tap into the growing global Muslim market and boosting tourism and trade. How do they do that? How do they do this certification? Basically, they check that the sources of all the ingredients and additives are halal. Using testing, there are some testing companies that do that. Okay, there are some testing companies that do that. I know that there's one in Hong Kong. Ensuring that there's no cross-contamination, whether during the storage, whether during the shipment, whether during the handling of the products, no contamination with non-halal foods, and verifying that the entire chain is basically safe and the halal ingredients from source into packaging and the halal ingredients are not contaminated with other products. I'm going to finish off pretty much with halal certification in Hong Kong. So the halal certification in Hong Kong, which is basically now more and more people, restaurants, businesses are looking into, is managed by the highest religious authority for Muslims in Hong Kong, which is the Incorporated Trustees of the Islamic Community Fund of Hong Kong. This is the highest Islamic religious. They oversee all the mosques. They oversee all the religious affairs of Muslims in Hong Kong. So this is managed by both this organization and the Hong Kong Tourism Board. The Hong Kong Tourism Board came on board. Why? Of course, to boost the image of halal friendliness of Hong Kong, to give more opportunity for business people who come to Hong Kong, who find it difficult to find halal restaurants, halal food, to give more opportunities for tourists to come to Hong Kong. Nowadays, you go to any of the cities, like in Asia, you go to Seoul, Japan, Vietnam, they have indications everywhere. Like you go to the buffet and you have, oh, this is halal, this is not halal. That's amazing, I went to Seoul, Korea, same thing. You have indications, halal, everywhere. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, see? So Hong Kong Tourism Board came on board of this only the last, 2-3 years? Just the last 2 to 3 years. And they're offering a 50% subsidy with a maximum of 5,000 Hong Kong dollars to restaurants and getting the halal certification between late 2025 and 26. And more restaurants are doing this, I personally have, engaged in help, some friends to to get their halal certificates for their restaurant. Finally, the Hong Kong Q Mark Halal scheme, which is also something that is new. Okay, and this is actually a joint effort by both this organization, the Incorporated Trustees of the Islamic Community Fund, and the Federation of Hong Kong Industries. They came up with this idea basically to give Q Mark Halal certificate, or to recognize and promote high quality restaurants that offer halal food. So this is also something that is available nowadays, and it's something that is new in Hong Kong. And that's it about my talk. So you can get more information. There's some upcoming programs and courses offered by Hong Kong Space. That includes a course on Islam and Arab culture starting on February 3rd, and another course of beginners Arabic. So these beginners Arabic courses are ongoing all the time throughout the year, basically. And the next one will start on February 2nd. You can find more information about that. For your information, these are the books that we use for teaching Arabic. For example, this one here, we use this. We've been using this for last probably 3 years. And one book like this we use it for 3 levels, like beginners Arabic 1, 2, and 3. And that's probably equivalent to A1 level for the language, probably equivalent to A1 level. Okay. If you go beyond that, then that's going to be this one here. You have more information. There's some leaflets. So some leaflets here about Islamic courses offered by Hong Kong New Space. And so please feel free to take leaflets from here, and also some more leaflets, but basically here, beginners Arabic language courses. We have 3 books for offering to you. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'm going to ask you some questions. So the one who can answer the question can get these books that can teach you some Arabic. Okay. We've used these books before. They're really good. Okay. I've used them before to teach Arabic, beginners Arabic. So hopefully that you can find a lot of information there and get some more, learn a little bit of Arabic through these books. So what are the questions? Okay, let me get the questions for you. I've written them down already. So, okay. So the first question is, what do Muslims follow? Yes. Excellent. And the answer is correct. Okay, you got a book from here. Okay. Congratulations. Very good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please. Okay. Oh, here, right.
And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Very good. Okay. Sorry. The second question is, can you name 2 pillars of the Islamic religion? Yes. Yes. Prayer and fast in the month of Ramadan, and the answer is correct. Well done. Very good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, there you are. Congratulations. Okay. Okay, very good.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. And the last question should not be difficult. Okay. And the question is I'm going to make it easier. Okay. Is seafood halal? Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Okay, there you are. Congratulations. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have
Congratulations.
spoke to your class.
Oh, excellent. That's very good.
I need this.
Excellent. Very good. And probably going to get this as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you find this talk interesting and you've learned something from me. Once again, thank you very much. And if you want more information, then you can find up some leaflets and you can contact our staff in Hong Kong Space. Thank you.
Can I ask you one more question before?
Sure, please do.
If you go to a restaurant,
Yes.
it says halal, but in fact, the meat isn't prepared in the halal way.
Yeah.
And you ate it.
Yes.
Then how can you reconcile?
Yes, I can answer that question. And thank you for the question, actually. That's a very good question, and that's related to intention. Whatever you do in life, especially for Islam, for example, whatever you do, as long as you're doing with intention, if your intention is to eat halal, and then somebody tricks you, they offer you not halal food, then as far as your religion is concerned, you're safe, because God knows best, and He knows what's in your heart. He knows your intention, so you're safe. You're okay. Thank you. Any other questions, everybody?
I actually have a question.
Yes.
This might be a little bit controversial, so sorry if it's not my intention to cause any inflammation.
Sure,
in the
sure.
audience. This is a scenario that I have heard from a KOL saying that some people from the Middle East region actually does not like to be referred as Middle Easterners.
Okay.
Because before we have the word East and Middle East,
Yes.
that we first need to have West, in relation to the West. So may I ask you if this is true, and if this is true, how may we address the region Middle East better so that the people from the region feel more neutral?
Well, I'm going to try to answer your question as best as I could. Okay. First of all, to be honest with you, I'm not aware of this point. But if you ask me, for example, okay, I'm originally from the Middle East, but for me, I don't care, okay, fine. So if you tell me Middle Easterner or you tell me Middle Southerner or Middle Northerner, it doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, so this is something, you see, we live in a world where because of history and because of what happened in history, then we refer to certain places from a certain angle. Okay, the Western world is more powerful, so they said, okay, this is the West, this is the East, and this is the Middle East. Okay, fine, I'm fine with that. Doesn't affect me in any way. It doesn't affect me. That's not what is important. What is important is, for me, are other things which are important. The welfare of human race, because we have much more challenging. We're going through a much more challenging situation, or things that are happening nowadays. So that is the welfare of people, the welfare of the world. That is more important. But how do people refer to me as Middle Eastern or not? It's not a big deal for me. Yeah.
It's relieving to know about it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So you're gonna send me some pictures?
Yes.
Yeah. You have my number, right?
Yes, of
Yeah. Okay.
course.
Good. Yeah.
Actually, what's that?
Yeah. Good.